I paid a little less money to go to my psychic, and she read Old Maid cards. Remember Old Maid? She didn't read tarot. She read.
It's how the spirits talk to you. They can talk to you through anything.
She's like Old Maid, and then she was like, "Go fish," and I was like, "Wait, what? Wait." What would that voice sound like? You got a voice for that, baby?
Hey there, Philip.
Fucking, oh my God, I would have left the house right away.
Hey, can you get me some of that cream cone that Grandma just made? I love that cream cone.
Oh,
I'm a baby of Adam Sandler. Yeah.
And then that club that I worked at up north,
I'll do your
there
background.
was a story where it was being...
Hey, Sean, how you doing? Welcome to work.
Hey, you want to dance?
That's right.
All my friends got a story to tell, oh yeah. From marriages go straight to hell, oh yeah. It's kind of funny, it leads to us, oh yeah. You never know what we'll discuss, well no.
You know, we promised you the Endfield Poltergeist story.
Yes.
So here we are into it. And what was the thing that I was... Oh, so I'm Philip and that's
I'm Sean.
And welcome to It's Kind of Funny podcast.
Oh, and update on Korea.
Oh, uh-oh. Yeah, are we at war? What happened?
No, nothing happened until, I guess, on my way up here, North Korea just launched a missile and it went over Japan. So now they're wondering, like, how Trump is going to react because they actually launched a missile and it went over Japan. This is the only time they've ever done anything like that. Like they had launched a satellite deployment vehicle and it went over Japan, and then they had a launch at one point that was a mislaunch that went over Japan, but they've never intentionally like launched a missile over Japan.
Right. Interesting.
And this time they did. So it's like, oh, well, obviously they're not too concerned about it, or they would have just, oh, that's all we need. Push the button.
Yeah, exactly. Like, just
But
destroy
yeah,
them.
it was like the next day after we recorded that podcast, they were like, oh, yeah, no, pretty much everybody's just cooled out. Everybody just chilled out. I'm like, okay, great. Shouldn't even mention it.
Well, and then did you go to the end of our show and listen to that song?
No.
The Weird Al song?
No.
It's pretty funny. I put it on there. So the Enfield Poltergeist, because we have to figure that none of you listened to last podcast on the left, but you should.
Yeah, you definitely should.
So first of all, about that show, I said, Sean, check it out. Sean said, well, it was good. It's funny. And then now he's like, that's my favorite show. And I go, I'm
it's
waiting every week. I'm like, when's the new one? Or every 2 weeks.
Funny. There's definitely a lot that you can go back and listen to, which is good for me because I haven't listened to any of them. But
and
I
then
listened to the shoe fetish guy, and then the sexy ghost ones. I've listened to that now too.
Well, and so I told my wife, like, one of the first ones I listened to was the wrestling, the Chris Benoit. So I was like, honey, like, I had to find one that was just a one show that she could watch. So I go, check this out. So I go, listen to it. Let me know what you think. She goes, okay. So, because she likes murder mystery, likes stuff like that. So
True crime.
So she's at work, and she goes, I've been listening for 14 minutes, and they're just talking, like making jokes, talking about wrestling. And I go, yeah, but just stick with it. She goes, this is just different, weird. And I said,
it's definitely
I know.
different. It's not, like at first when I was listening to a true crime thing, I wanted it to be serious. You know, but this, I listen to it and it's funny. I don't take it as a serious podcast. I take it as, that it's funny.
Like a comedy serious. It's a little bit of both. But she was like, I'm not offended. She goes, there's a 7-year-old that died. She goes, but I'm not offended. I'm just kidding. She goes, but like, come on, get to the story already. So then she goes, okay, now I'm 20 minutes in and they're starting to get into it. And then a little bit later, I called it. She goes, like, she had paused it. She's like, maybe if I'm bored, I'll go back to it. And then this morning, I go, so what happened? She goes, I just couldn't. She goes, they were too jumping around, being funny. She goes, I said, yeah, you just want, like, the serious, like, Generation Y or Sword and Scale. Like, you just want, tell me a murder story. And she's like, yeah. And I go, well, I said, I love it because they do that.
Right.
And because, like I said, the one guy, it seems like he knows a little bit about what the story's about, but not everything, Ben Kissel. And then the other two have done their research and everything. And then they're just, you know, and
Yeah,
so,
like the,
so he's
the,
learning.
on the one you're like, oh yeah, he does the voice of Cartman. As soon as I heard him, I'm like, that's not Cartman.
Yeah, yeah.
And then even later on, he's like, oh yeah, I'm doing Cartman's voice, and I wanted to be like, no, that's not Cartman.
Well,
it's definitely a character from South Park,
and
more like Timmy or Jimmy.
right.
Well,
And my thing on that, Timmy's so great. My thing on that was
when that guy talks, like he puts on a mask and jumps out and holds a knife on the girl, and he, the guy runs down the stairs, and then he runs in. He's like, "Oh, I just chased the guy. I chased him outside."
Yeah.
And he's all acting winded.
well, when they, what was the other thing? Like, oh, what do you have here? What do you sell? Oh, it's my garage. Like I do my little,
Yeah.
But
You got to use the intercom before you come in here, because I could be developing pictures.
but
And it could ruin the whole film.
When somebody drives into his garage, and the police are just like, no, there's no bodies
we
hanging in there.
We looked in there a little bit.
It must be a cat that smells.
My thing on that for the Cartman thing was not necessarily that it was Cartman, but that it was a funny voice that you would identify with, and you'd be like, "Oh."
Well,
my
he
God,
even
like,
says like later on that he's doing a Cartman voice.
Yeah.
So.
But I just knew that you'd.
Yeah. It was just like as soon as he did that voice, I was like, yeah, that's perfect. That's a perfect voice for how I picture this guy to look.
Yeah. And then you ever look up those guys and see like, do the research, not research, but look up pictures of what his wife looked like, what he looked like.
Oh no,
Yeah, I did that, and he's like a little weirdo.
Yeah.
But anyway, so yeah, she was just like, I couldn't get into the funny of it because like I said, what I like about it,
like I said, that wasn't what I expected when I first listened to it.
Yeah.
And so at first I didn't like it.
Yeah. When I think I just at first was it's one of those where you're like, you fall into the format. Now you're like, okay, now I get it. But the thing I like was like when he reads like a letter from somebody or whatever he's supposed to say, and then he'll add something like "fuck your mother" at the end or something, and then you're like, and then Ben Kissel, he didn't say that. Well, no, that was me thought it, but the one that I really like is Carl Panzram, because he does this voice of Carl Panzram. That was the one where you and I was like, that's a guy in prison. And I was like, Tom Hardy. And you're like, no, that guy's name is Bronson because the movie's called Bronson. And I was like, oh. But Carl Panzram, like in the early 20s, 30s, 40s, somewhere around there, he was killing people. But the voice that Greg uses or Henry uses is like just perfect. And the way that guy would write when he wrote his letters was really like poetic and, but it's like a 2 or 3 parter, but it's hilarious. But anyway, that's last podcast on the left.
Yeah.
That's what they're about. Something, if you want to get into this, and then maybe we'll get into a little bit of the Patreon stuff. So the Enfield, I wrote down a quote by the girl, by the little girl. It was like nowadays.
She's quoting people now, or she's got...
Yeah, she quoted Shakespeare.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, she was like...
it wasn't... It was the ghost that was speaking through her.
She's like, I've never read Shakespeare, but...
before.
Yeah, exactly. Horatio... it was an extraordinary case. It's one of the most recognized cases of paranormal activity in the world, but for me, it was quite daunting. I think it really left its mark. The activities, the newspaper attention, the different people in and out of the house, it wasn't a normal childhood. So that's my preface into what it was. So in 1977, there was this house in England somewhere in Enfield, and they were... all of a sudden, there were knockings, and the beds were moving, and the drawers...
Legos were flying around at
flying
normal speeds.
Yeah, like somebody whipped them at you, but nobody threw them, supposedly.
Yeah.
So they talked about this on last podcast on the left. You should check it out. It's interesting. So
Not sponsored.
So now, me with Ghost, I have a kind of ghost story of my own that I might have told you about, but I'm at my grandma's house when I'm like... mid-teenager, and I'm laying on the couch, and I would always spend the night there Fridays, so Saturday mornings I could watch cartoons, because she was the only one that was up at 6 a.m. and wake me up for Smurfs and Thundar the Barbarian, Battle Thunder. Remember that guy at Coulter that used to always battle blah blah? Remember?
Oh yeah. Thundar with Was it Mookie or
Ookla the Mock?
Ookla the Mock? Yeah,
Ookla the Mock,
Ookla the Mock.
and Ariel, she was a princess or something. Although she
That
looked
was
more.
Wasn't that He-Man? Or whatever. I don't know.
It was I think they had one on He-Man,
Okay.
but that was the dark-haired girl with the blue, and she was more like Butch Dyke type of. She was like a tough princess.
Yeah.
She was a Sigourney Weaver of. Anyway, so one night I'm sleeping on the couch, and the couch was like in the front room, and I wake up in the middle of the night, and there's a baby standing in my grandma's chair. Cue scary music. There's like a baby.
Post-editing.
There's a baby standing in the chair across from me. And so I'm like, oh. So I close my eyes, I rub my eyes, I look, the baby's still there. Just like either looking at me or just standing there. So then I'm like, so I get up and I do my arms through the thing. See, now we have a video, people can see it. I do my arms through the chair. There's nothing when I get up. I don't see it. So I sit back down, I look, it's still there. I'm like, what the fuck? So finally I end up I turn the chair around so it wouldn't face me, and then the baby, no, that'd be cool though. Baby's like,
Baby, I don't think the baby starts talking to you.
That's right. What would that voice sound like? You got a voice for that baby?
Hey there, Philip. Hey,
Fucking, oh my God, I would have left the house right away.
hey, can you get me some of that cream cone that Grandma just made? I love that cream cone.
Oh,
I'm a baby of Adam Sandler. Meow, meow.
That's almost perfect. Now you'll be like, oh, is it? Yeah, why don't you tell me a story?
Why don't you tell me a story?
So, no, if that baby would have talked, I would have fucking shit myself and, I don't know, left or something.
And
so,
then told your grandma to come over to the house next door and wake you up at 6 a.m.
That's right, yeah. So I turned the chair around. No
Philip,
baby.
you made me eat my poop.
No, I didn't.
No, I didn't. My friend knocked it out of my hands.
That kid should come back and haunt me because I told you that kid shot himself, killed himself with a shotgun.
No, I didn't. Yeah,
Yeah,
really?
it's a pretty funny story.
Yeah, well,
It's kind of a funny
his
podcast.
His only friend makes him eat shit off a playing card.
I know. Well, it was later when he was 16 or 17 or something around there.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember he reached out to me once, like years later, like after
after he shot himself
he was like,
on
hello.
Facebook.
Yeah.
Friend request accepted.
That's right. I'm like, it's a ghost. I ain't afraid
Hello,
of no
Philip.
ghost.
How are you?
No, it's the same kid.
Make me some of that cream cone.
With poop in it. So he reached out to me like I hadn't talked to him since he was 6, since we lived, and then I grew up and he was too young for me to hang out with. Because it was I get arrested.
Yeah.
So then he's like, hey, what's going on? I'm just back in the neighborhood. Hey. And I was like, hey, and we hung out in this awkward thing because you have nothing in common now. Like, I don't know what he's been up to. He met up with me. He came over to the house because his grandparents used to live down the street.
Okay.
So we hung out for just like a little bit, and I'm just like, well, here's what I'm doing, and that's about it. And
you want to watch a movie?
How are you doing? And then he leaves, and then all of a sudden, years later, like when Mom died, I went over to my neighbors, Bill and Molly, who used to live right next door to the house, and they still do, to my old house. So I went over there, and I'm like, hey, and we're talking. I'm telling them about how Mom died and all this stuff, and then they're like, oh, did you hear that Christopher killed himself? And I was like, what? She goes, yeah, the grandparents went to bed. They took out their hearing aids, went to bed. Grandpa had like a gun rack, and he took the gun, went into his bedroom, shot himself. Grandma goes in to wake him up in the morning, opens the door, room full of blood. She's like, I go, oh my God, could you imagine? Like you hear nothing at night because your hearing aids are out. Like, oh. And I'm like, I should have never tried to feed that kid his poop. But yeah, that's another story.
What did they say? Why?
I think just depressed or something. Who knows? But his grandparents always loved him, so I don't know. But it's one of those where you just, if you don't fit in or you don't like, you got to find something. Like it's not you. It's just whatever. But there's a guy at work who's just like, I'm in my thoughts and I'm driving around for 10 hours and I just can't. I don't like this because I'm thinking about my wife who left me and all this stuff. And I'm like, just listen to music and do something else
Nah,
and
it's
don't
not. It's
don't
easier
wallow in
from
it.
the outside
Well,
to say that. Yeah,
I know,
you
but also if you're gonna wallow in it, you're just gonna get
It's gonna
deeper.
get deeper, yeah.
And it's like try to. I said I know that when I'm telling you listen to music, you're gonna listen to music and go that reminds me of her or whatever. And I said, just you got to find like you
Did you
can't
hear
sit
that
there and go
story
I
about
need friends.
The girl who's, I think she got sentenced to a couple of years because her boyfriend killed himself, and they tried her as
Because she said kill yourself
yeah,
or something.
he was texting her. I suppose he was probably being all clingy and being like,
Yeah.
and she's like, "Fucking kill yourself already,"
Yeah.
and he did. And now they're blaming her. I'm sure there's more to
Well,
the story,
yeah, I
but
think
it's
that
like,
there's
come on.
there's more text, but I think it all adds up to that. But yeah, it's one of those where at a time then you go, I'm done with this, like you know. But back to the Enfield Poltergeist. So I see this kid. So I turn the chair around. The kid does not peek over the back of the chair. So I'm like, good. So I go back to bed.
Doesn't throw a Lego at you?
It was no, and it was really hard to try to go to bed to think that that chair was either going to slowly rotate around or the kid was going to look over. But I went back to bed. So that was a thing that I had. So then I listened to this Enfield Poltergeist where they also said that the girl would start at first they were like knock once for yes, twice for no, and the thing would knock. And they were like, oh, it's weird. And then it started talking through the girl. And they were saying that it was not her regular vocal cords. It was from the back of her neck. And she said it always felt like somebody was holding her.
False vocal cords or whatever.
Yeah, and it was like a ventriloquist, but it was different. And she was 12, and she wouldn't have known
showing it on the
ventriloquist.
video.
Yeah.
You could see her lips moving.
Yeah.
And I understand, like, okay, well, obviously if the sound is coming from her, there's going to have to be, movement of her or whatever. But there's when they said that the topics would change, and when the ghost couldn't answer a question, he would just curse at you and do whatever, stuff that a child would do.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, you put two and two together. Like they said, to me, how much did these investigators want this to be true?
Yeah.
Like even the guys from last podcast on the left were saying is like, you get somebody that's in there, like this little girl wanted to have a father figure, wanted to have this, and all of a sudden she's getting attention. She's getting attention from this. So, and you couple that with these investigators, the guy who lost his daughter, and all this other stuff going on. When you put this perfect storm of people together, how you're seeing what you want to see.
Yeah.
Except
for the magician who's like, poof, I don't know how to talk to kids. Poof, I'm gone.
So and again, like I would like to read the unbiased reports of this stuff to see what the people really wrote, and
well, and it's the thing of like you said, like if you want to see it, you'll see it. Like if you want to see the Loch Ness monster, you'll see it. If you want to believe in Bigfoot, you'll see it. Like Rachel's dad totally believes in Bigfoot, and so one day I went over there and I mentioned Bigfoot to him because she had told me.
And then you were there for 4 hours.
Well, and he was like, oh, my God. And she's like, why did you bring up Bigfoot? I go, because I knew that it would piss you off, so that's why I did it. And then later I was like, oh, you're having your dad over? There's a reality show called Searching for Bigfoot. You should.
She's like, yeah, he's on it this
great,
week.
Thanks. Yeah, we already watched all the seasons.
He bought them on Blu-ray.
So, yeah.
And Blu-ray's not even out yet.
So I was like, but yeah, it's that. So the other thing is, so I asked Danielle, I go, you like horror movies? You should listen to this Poltergeist. She goes, no, it's a poltergeist. It's stupid. Like, it doesn't exist.
Right.
Unless you believe in that, you got to believe in it.
Right.
And I don't know if she's meaning God or whatever, but it's all kind of part of, whether you believe that we die and we're soulless and we're done or whatever. And so I was like, okay. And then what's funny, so I'm listening to the Enfield Poltergeist.
And I think a lot of that stuff is like, it's for some people, it's a coping tool. Like you want to be able to, like, who's this this new kid that's like 16 or whatever that's going around and talking to celebrities.
Yeah.
And he's channeling, people. And how do you know that? And it's just like, if it helps people, if that's what they need to hear and it helps them.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, unless and I don't want to poo-poo on it if somebody fucking believes in that shit, but nothing's ever been shown to me or done to me that's ever come true. I went and saw a psychic. They told me a bunch of stuff
Yeah.
that never came true. I had a girl that I worked with who would read the tarot card stuff. She would do this stuff. It was all just basic, like anything, and any of the stuff that even got like past the 10% mark of being,
Yeah.
directed
Full on,
towards
yeah.
me
Yeah.
has never come true. It's never even come close.
Yeah.
And it's like, all right, so
I had I paid a little less money to go to my psychic, and she read Old Maid cards. Remember Old Maid? She didn't read tarot. She read.
it's how the spirits talk to you. They can talk to you through anything.
She's like Old Maid, and then she was like, "Go fish," and I was like, "Wait, what? Wait!" But I guess that came
She
true
was
because then I
playing
went fishing,
solitaire?
and I'm like, "I'm fishing." She said, "Go fish." Anyway.
Was that a joke?
Yeah, that was
God.
my old.
Okay.
I thought you would have caught the Old Maid, but
Yeah,
Old Maid is
I'm
too old for
not-
you.
yeah, and I
I'm
never played
46,
cards.
so yeah.
I'm
It was
43 this year.
it was
Philip
some-
just turned 46, so everybody go to the Patreon
Yeah,
and subscribe for
you
for
can't
a
now.
month.
It's
Oh,
just
God.
a patron. Yeah, sorry,
All right,
can't
well,
give me money.
pdookie2
Yeah,
at gmail.com.
There
Send
you
him
go.
some money on
There
his,
you go.
on his PayPal.
try the regular It's Kind of Funny podcast email at gmail.com.
Okay, I don't even think the pdookie was your
That's
real
fine.
email
It
anyway.
is, but thanks.
Oh, God.
P-Duke
Edit that out.
at gmail, but that's
no,
it.
you just read it off.
I know. Well, you had already said it, but P Dookie. That's how people go. Oh, it's Dookie. No, I'm the second. So Philip Duke is second. But no, Old Maid was a game that you played when you were like a toddler or in first grade or whatever.
Yeah, my parents never spent any time with me.
But no,
doing
I
that
went
kind
to
of stuff,
I went to a psychic, and like you said, it's a thing of like, hey, how you doing? And you're kind of like, oh, I do. And you kind of say
You-
stuff that you don't realize.
Well, right. And
like,
you,
I
and
like
then
to
if
write.
if you go in pre-thinking it,
Yeah.
you try to not say something, and
Mm-hmm.
then they play off of that, and they're like, oh, so it shows you're mysterious,
Yeah.
and you're or whatever.
Well,
and it's like,
because I did that where I don't know if I told her that I wrote or her mom told,
Mhm.
Chris's mom. It was her friend, and so she goes, she's just telling me my, without reading my palm yet. She was just telling me regular,
well, it's all
then-
it's all aura, it's
right?
the
And then
feeling
she's
you
like,
get from you.
let me see your hand. Let me read your palm. And she goes, oh, this line here. I see words in your hands. I see words, and I go, I'm a writer. Oh my God, I give her.
Yeah.
I'm leading the witness now. Oh,
I see
because I write
see
Oh, you
numbers
do
and
write.
letters.
Yeah,
No
Yeah.
comprendo.
yeah. So it was one of those. But what's funny? So the Enfield Poltergeist thing, I was like, maybe this is like they said the one documented
Mhm.
true event. Maybe it did really happen. The neighbor confirms it. The police officer confirms
Well,
it.
yeah, that's the
These
thing.
are people that are extended.
They said that
you
there
know,
was like
out.
a number of people
Yeah.
who witnessed, and very unrelated people
Yeah.
who witnessed this kind of stuff. But again, with that, don't have them there for 1 to 2 hours. Have them
Yeah.
there for a few
For the
days,
19 months that they or whatever
and,
that they were
and
there.
see if
Yeah.
they really believe it, or I
Well,
don't know.
And that's the
And why is the and please, anyone listening to this, look it up. It's a fantastic
Yeah.
listen to, and it's very interesting. They made the movie off of it, and things of that
Conjuring
nature.
too.
Yeah. But none of the family talks about it except for
Except for that girl.
her, the
Yeah.
11-year-old.
Yeah.
Why? To me, it's like, is the rest of the family like out of sight, out of mind because we don't want to keep lying anymore? And
Right.
this is her thing.
Yeah.
This got her through. This was like and again, the stuff that we understand now, like, okay, did she just read a book on Poltergeist? How did she know that this was the way? And see, that's the thing too that makes me believe it, because how did she know that poltergeists commonly affect people when they're flowering?
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
they
yeah,
say,
yeah,
you know what I
yeah,
mean? Like, it didn't say anything about her getting a book from the library or anything
Yeah.
like that. So there was a lot of the stuff that happened
Yeah.
that there's no way that she could have known how that happened, and that it's a commonality of other things. So
Yeah. Well, and so
and
that-
again, was she being led? Was
Yeah.
the investigator guy leading her on, or
Right,
did he
yeah.
say things to this person who then repeated it to her? Because you were saying about the voices, and then that night, then the voices started talking.
Yeah, well, even like you and I, like on the video that we just watched, even the guy doing the newscast, like interviewing her, he kind of led her.
Right.
And the one girl was like, yes. And she was like, no, or
Right.
whatever. And it was like, the two sisters are like, wait, no, you got to stick with,
Right.
But what's funny about that whole thing, so I listened, so I was like, maybe this is real. Maybe this is a one real thing, but it was interesting, And then I'm asking Danielle, like, you don't believe, okay, I thought maybe you'd find it creepy or whatever, right? Then they do, last podcast on the left, do the newest one, Sexy Ghost 2.
Mm-hmm.
I'm listening to that, and I'm just calling bullshit on everything. So I'm like, why am I calling bullshit on ghosts who fart, or the ghost who got killed and then run around naked, and they're like, give them their clothes back, and the guys like took off.
And then they started. There was like what do they say? It was like the Backstreet or.
Yeah, it was those three there were five of them.
There was
and then
five
they
of
were like,
them, but
they were
there was-
like, we could be those guys.
Oh, the Red Hot Chili Peppers?
yeah, give it away, give it away, give it away.
Give it away now. What I gotta give it to your mama.
And so
That was hilarious.
but it's one of those where so now all of a sudden I can call bullshit on that, but this other thing that now I'm like, oh, maybe. So then I'm like, and then I looked it up, and they were saying that the people that moved into that house after her mom moved out, that like things died down, and the girl did say that she said we did mess with a Ouija board before all this happened. So she said maybe, right. So then some people that moved in after her mom died or whatever happened, all of a sudden that woman said she heard knocking and heard moving around like stuff, and the kids were just like, the kids saw an apparition of a guy or something, and the kids were like, we need to leave. And so the next day they like packed up and moved because she said she felt a weird aura in the house. And then the people that went
Did they
there
know about what happened?
I
there?
think they found
So-
out, and then the people after that wouldn't comment about anything, but they said that they felt some kind of aura is in the house. So I think you could feel that, like,
Yeah.
you go to somebody's house,
And like
you're
I said, it's never happened to me.
right, yeah,
Like Sandy has said that she thinks that the house is haunted that we live in.
yeah, cool.
And
Let me go over there.
I
We'll
like
do a
sometimes-
podcast.
I
Knock
like
once
sometimes,
if you saw Sean play
Sometimes I
video
like-
games and masturbate all at one time.
and Sandy would be like, "Will you shut up? I'm trying to sleep.
Yeah, that's
Quit
right.
asking the walls to
You're
bleed."
making the dogs bark. Quit
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
And so
Stop putting noodles
like-
in the sink.
the door would slowly open or close or whatever it was doing, and
Yeah.
I'd just jokingly I'd be like, "Will you stop it?" And I'm like, I would talk to the ghost and be like, "Fucking go away! I'm trying to sleep."
Yeah. Mhm.
And then it would stop. So I'm like, it must be listening.
Yeah. That's
Oh, and then that club that I worked at up north,
I'll do your
there
background.
was a story where it was being
Hey Sean, how you doing? Welcome to work.
Hey, you want to dance?
That's right.
they were when the place is being built or something like that, then apparently like one of the construction workers died while it was being built.
Uh-huh.
And they said they were going out the one night and there was the strip club on one side and then just a regular bar place on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
And you would always close and go out the bar side. And everybody was going out and they had one of those Golden Tee golf arcade machines in there.
Mm-hmm.
And as they were walking out, it went and the ball spun.
Oh wow.
And they went back on the video and looked. There was nobody near it. Nothing. Those balls don't have
Yeah.
anything to it.
Yeah, it's like a mouse. It's just yeah.
And it's like I don't. That's what people say, but I didn't see the video.
That was at the highlighter, or that was
That
another
was
club?
at the club up north,
Oh, okay.
the Cabaret USA or whatever the fuck it was.
Yeah. Interesting.
yeah.
Yeah. So
Again, that's the story.
So, yeah.
And this person says it happened, and he was there, but
yeah. Well,
You
and
know.
there's some unexplained things that happen that there's no explanation for.
no,
And,
Pinhead. I believe in
you know,
Pinhead.
Well,
I
yeah,
believe
yeah.
that's real.
Shooting the CDs out of his mouth.
Oh yeah,
Who
the
was that
Cenobite.
talked about that? Was that last
That
podcast?
was this
on the
last
left?
podcast
Yeah,
on
yeah.
the left too. They were talking about
Because
that.
they were like, yeah, the big
Oh.
one. He shot CDs.
I got another box
Oh, did
on
you?
Etsy. Etsy has they're
Oh.
made out of wood. There's
Uh-huh.
some of them that you can get now that are like actual puzzle boxes where they move. But They're
Uh-huh.
like a couple
Wait,
$100.
Yeah.
And But this one was just a laminated, it's a wood box, but it doesn't open or anything like that, and it's just laminated with it. It looks really nice, and the model one I have at work now, and we've got this thing at work where it's like a magic 8-ball, but you spin it. You like ask, like, oh, am I going to get a raise today? Check back later, or whatever. So I got that, and then the Hellraiser box came with a stand, so it holds it at like a caddy corner kind of thing, and I put that on top of the spinny thing with the box in it, and then I can spin it. It's like,
that's cool.
People come by, I'm like, just don't touch the circle on top. And
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
This is just
Don't
creepy
rub
that
the
you have
circle.
this at your desk.
That's awesome. So that was so it was just interesting, like I said, with the with that at first I'm like, yeah, maybe, and then
Leave
I
in
read,
the comments if you
so-
guys are watching this video. Leave in the comments your ghost stories.
Yes, please.
We wanna know
Either
if you have.
either the ghost stories, either on the YouTube, or email us, or go to
Yeah.
the Facebook page at
And we'll investigate it.
facebook.com/.
Well,
It's kind of
Like
we'll,
with the sexy
go out.
ghosts, they were talking about with the sexy ghosts.
Yeah.
Like, we need, ghost hunters like back at that time where they're like, knock once if you're here, instead of like now the ghost hunters like, come on, fucking come out here.
Yeah. They're
make
like
the
you.
walls
They're
bleed.
like you. Shut
Come
the
on.
fucking door. Get the fuck out of my room. I'm trying to sleep and play Destiny.
Boom, boom, boom.
And play Destiny. I'm trying to sleep and play Destiny. Yeah.
Oh yeah, by the way, I'm probably not going to be available for a while because Destiny 2 comes out in 9 days.
All right, but you're playing the beta. Isn't the beta fully open, or how does that work?
It was only a couple days.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
No, that's it's interesting. Well, and then I told Chip, I said, well, there's several things. So we're done with the Endfield Ghost. There's several things. So Chip started the Patreon, like we talked about before.
Everybody go see Chip.
Go to the Chipness, this boy.
Him. Go to his
He's
Patreon
40.
page.
All these people, me and Joe are the oldest. These three are 43 years old.
I'm not yet.
Not yet, but they will be. I mean, Chip on the 8th, Sean on the October 12th, and Sergio on October something.
Just give away all of our information.
I did. Well, they want to
gave
know.
your email.
There's a psychic out there going. Yeah, there's a psychic out there going. Who is
the Chipness.
Who is the Chipness, or who is when was Sean born? He's a Philip's a Virgo. Oh, blah blah blah. Anyway, Chip at the patreon.com/the Chipness Art, and you can donate $1, $3, $5. So Chip's like,
I want to donate $5 just because I want to hear what happens when he contacts you.
Yeah, he'll be like,
and it needs to be anonymous. It needs to be
right.
I need to have Sandy do it.
Email. Yeah. There you go.
And say, I want you to draw me nude.
Yeah.
Something to, let's see if we can get him to get a divorce.
Yeah.
Let's catfish him.
Yeah. That'd be funny. So anyway, so he did that. So he's like, oh, I'm gonna, he paid the $5 for the boosting it.
Oh my
and
God.
all this. And
remind me to tell you about a lady that got scammed that called into my job.
All right. And then what? So he's thinking he's going to make all this money, and I'm telling him, like I told him, I said I canceled my Patreon because it wasn't pay. I had it for 9 months. It's not like Facebook and like my Facebook page where Philip and my Facebook page are linked.
Well, it's not even like Kickstarter, is it? Like you can go in and just search.
Right,
Can
you could.
Can you? Okay.
Yeah, you can search for artwork or whatever, which I've done. And that one lady I was telling you about who is freelance and she draws really good pictures. She's like at the top of the thing.
Yeah,
she's making like 7,000.
Probably already showing people like these people are popular. These people at the bottom, not so much.
Well, and the last, and also like there's a guy who teaches. So, like, you can pay money for him, and he'll show you, here's how to draw. So if you want to draw, you could pay that, and that's something that's cool. Chips is like drawing pictures that, like you said, like I was telling him what you said, that if you want to commission something, then that'd be cool. Like I said, Batman choking my mother or something, like that's cool. But also, he can't send you a picture of Batman, I think, because it's copywritten DC. Something I'm not sure, but I'm just like, you can't draw any main characters. You have to make up your own. Like he did a Spawn girl that's pretty cool, but I don't think you could sell those, you know.
You could be like inspired
But
by
you maybe
the,
could,
you know.
you maybe could be like, just change Batman a little bit or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's a thing of that's one thing. But if it's I'm going to draw what I'm drawing and you get what I draw, people might go, well, no, I like more of this or I like more of that. And you're
do my bidding.
Yeah, and with a wide audience, it's just like with this podcast. Like, okay, maybe you like the funny stuff, you know. So you come here. You don't. If you listen, just like with my wife with last podcast and left. No, it's not for me. She's not going to listen.
Right.
People are going to go there and go, this ain't for
everybody.
me. Yeah. So you can't hit everybody. So he's going to try to do the $5 boosting again and narrow it down and try to get more.
I wish him all the luck. I hope that it turns out, and I hope that, you know, a year from now he's so big that I wouldn't be able to you know, get him to draw
you'd be
anything.
like, draw
you know
me
what I mean?
naked.
And he'll be like, I'm too busy. He's like, I'm booked up for the next 3 years.
Yeah.
I'm so busy.
Yep.
You know, I'm like, that's awesome.
Well, and that's what I told him.
Wish him the best.
Well, and then the other day I said, did you let your workers know? And then he called me and he goes, what do you mean workers? I go,
he's like,
well, wait. I go, wait
I
a minute.
just started the Patreon page.
Yeah,
I can't hire people yet.
I go, did your Patreon blow up overnight and now you have workers? I go, no, I meant your workers at Walmart. Like, tell them, go here. Like, tell everybody. And he's like, no, I told a couple people that care. And I'm like, the thing is to tell more people.
Yeah,
you know,
do
just
it
like I
over
said, like
do it
with
over
me,
the intercom,
like with me on
Like,
the Facebook.
Hey, welcome to
everybody.
Walmart.
Hello
everybody.
and welcome to Walmart. I hope you're having a
Please
good
go
day.
to
Please
the
go to
Chipness at
patreon.com. The
patreon.com.
Chipness Art. Thank you.
And if you do, everybody gets $20 off on aisle number 3.
I'm over here in the toy section. If you want me to sign anything or buy anything, please come. I'm not going to buy anything. If you want to come and buy something and have me sign it,
and have me sign it, great.
Then I'll do that.
I figured it would help me and it helped Walmart because
right.
Walmart's going to sell the toys.
Yeah.
I'm going to sign them.
I'm going to do my own drawings of toy. I'm going to make my own toy line. The Chipness
Eventually,
toy line here in the
yeah.
kids, you know, come to the toy section. Tell me which toys you want. So that's a thing where it's like, but it's one of those that's kind of weird, and you and I've talked about it before. It's a little bit of the millennial thing of like, I don't want to do anything and I want to make work.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I want to do my own thing. I want to have my own business and
I wanted that
get money
too.
for doing what I
Yeah,
enjoy.
I wanted that too. I think everybody wants that. Like I would, you know, like these people that do videos and YouTube and Twitch and stuff like that. I see some of these people and they're like, people on the outside think, oh, I'm just playing video games and I'm getting paid for it. And they're like, not that easy. Like doing content, you know, sucks. Like for one, you're getting abused constantly because people are just like, hey, it's the internet, the mob mentality, and fuck you.
Well, and then and then you get rude commenters, trolls, and all that. Well, and it's like I told Chip, I said, I want you to do. Hang on, because I have several thoughts right now. So I said, I want you to do a YouTube video of you, like all he's doing now is the time-lapse stuff. I said, you should do a YouTube video of you talking to the camera, going, hey, my name's Chip, here's what I do, blah, blah, blah. You know, tell him everything. I said,
be the next Bob Ross.
I go, because you have a weird personality, and so it's fun, so you could totally do something with that and just make YouTube videos and just be goofy. And he was like, yeah, but I gotta, you know, and I go, here's the other thing. I said, there's a lot of, like you and I are recording right now, I got to take that, I got to sync it with the sound from the microphone, then I got to put on the beginning edit, the end edit, and then I got to load it up to YouTube.
People are saying is like, there's work that you have to, there's behind the scenes work that you have to do. There's the post process, all that stuff you just said.
Yeah. Yeah,
you know,
and so I told him, I said that takes work, but I go, the fun thing is that when I'm done with it, I go, look at that, I created that. I said, or me listening to me and Sean or whoever's on the podcast, and I listen to the podcast, and I write down everything that we talked about, and then I put on the beginning music, the end music, I edit if there's something that needs to be taken out. I said, then I throw it up, and I write down all the stuff that I wrote down that we talk about, so then people can go, oh, yeah, I want to listen. And I said, and it's fun for me to go, look, I just made that. There's another one in the can. Boom, cool. Same thing with the video. I said I like doing the videos because I'm like, I created that. Like, I made the beginning titles. It's Kind of Funny Podcast Presents, you know, blah, blah, blah. So I said, you should do that, but it's going to be work. It's going to be like you and I said, like PewDiePie. Like you said, he works for himself, by himself. Like it's just him. And he's busting his ass every day. And you got to hustle. There's a girl named Superwoman. She's got a vlog, and then she's got a regular thing. And she's funny, and she's Indian. Pretty girl. And she's
Purdy?
Like... Pretty. She's pretty. Well, I didn't. I mean, she's beautiful. I don't know.
What? Yeah, no,
but
just the way you said it.
I know. Pretty. But she's a hustler, though.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was talking to a guy this morning. I made the mistake of, he goes, I have a side business, was one of my guys.
Hustle.
And he goes, so this isn't my main job. Like, because I go, I said, I see your name on the schedule every once in a while, but I've never met you. Hey, how you doing? And he goes,
I'm not really a waitress. I'm studying to be an actress.
I go, what is
start
your...
acting like a waitress.
Exactly. There you go. Ba-dum-bum. I said, what is your side bit? What is your business? And he goes into this. It's a marketing thing. It's like Amway, but different. But it was a good one. He goes, we have Verizon signed on, T-Mobile, like, so you can go through him to get a cell phone, and it's cheaper. You go through him to get power, electric. They do gas. They do solar, like all kinds of stuff. And he's like, so, like, I go, well, that's like a big shotgun blast, other than like Chip's wife does LuLaRoe, which is like clothing.
Mm-hmm.
And I was telling him the problem with that and Avon, like my mom used to do Avon and Tupperware, is I go, Sean, do you want to buy the shirts that I'm making? And you go, yeah, I'll buy a couple.
Yeah.
And now you don't need any for months.
Right.
Now 6 months from now, then I'm asking you every month, you need any more stuff? You need
You're
pants?
Like,
You're like, no, I got 2 shirts already. I'm good.
And I did that to
Check
help
me
you.
in 6 months. Yeah. And then in 6 months, maybe you're like, found some shirts at Walmart or, whatever.
They're better quality and they're half the price.
Yeah. How dare you? My business is good. And so then it's that. It's the same thing with the Amazon and not Amazon, Avon.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're going to buy all the makeup at once. So that's good. So that person selling it is like, oh, I made $180 sale.
No, I just got to do that every month.
Yeah, but that's a $180 sale for that one person for that. And
right.
so I said, this is good. This guy's business, because it's not just T-Mobile.
Right.
It's T-Mobile, Verizon. Anyway, so but it's also a marketing thing of, he goes, for $500, you become a member and you have your own website. Then for $100 a year, you just pay the $100 a year to keep up your website. And he said, and then everything's good. And Sean's distracting me. You got an important email.
No, about my meeting.
It's important to me. Yeah, and last week I was like, you gotta go to a meeting, fuck that. But I'm glad you're sober. I didn't mean to make you not go. You did go, but I'm just saying. I was just thinking about it when I'm listening to it. I go, here's Sean's going, I gotta go to a meeting. And I'm like, we could do a 2-parter, man, come on. So that's the thing with I don't know why I went off on that tangent. Oh, about businesses. So yeah, it's the hustle. This guy was a hustler. He's like, I just sent out 12 emails, and I'm sending people, and then I got other people under me, and we're trying to help them. So the good thing with that, as opposed to Amway, where it was just you try to get as much people under you to support you, he said, we're getting better people under us. And I said, yeah, you're only as good as the people under you, like me being a supervisor. That's how I feel. And so when you get better people under you, then they're going to hustle more. So you will make more money, but it pays to help them as opposed to just working your way up the ladder. But he's like 80 years old and all this stuff. Some guy from Scottsdale embezzled a bunch of money from him back in the day. But he's like, but I came through that. I'm good now. I said, okay. But the other thing on a side thing, so that's about, so Chip wants to do that business. So at one point I was like, yeah, I want to do that too with, I wanted to, when I started this podcast, it was like back in 2010 or whatever, I said, okay, I want to do the podcast and I'm going to have all my friends on it. And then it ended up where it was just me and Sergio most of the time. You did one, Joe did a couple. And then Sergio and I started, it was further and further apart, and I was paying $40 a month, and I was like, forget it, and I dropped and didn't do it. And then I came back in 2015, started doing it again with my original idea of doing it with each friend. my thing on that when I was like, oh, it'd be great if we had this huge following and somehow I got a sponsor or whatever, it'd be cool. But then when that doesn't happen, you're just like, okay, like we said, this is fun. We're chit-chatting, we're talking,
Right.
we're making each other laugh, whatever. So that's fine. But my other thing about the podcast, so I was talking to Chip about it, and because we get each other, share each other ideas. So I said, you and I show is different from Joe and I's show.
Mm-hmm.
And me and Chip show is just kind of like same thing, but him and I'll talk comic books and video games and whatever. So Chip was like, I said, maybe I should retitle the show. Maybe I should have Joe be my main guy, and then I have you guys on,
Mm-hmm.
as fill-in. And then I'm like, but no, I should. My original idea was at first I was like, each friend will be different, so we'll do a different show.
Mm-hmm.
Then I was like, that's too difficult. We'll do cookie cutter things where observations, topics, and read the emails, and we'll do that with each one. But then I have a problem when I'm doing one with you or Chip, because I'm like, it's like we said, like we have all kinds of interest,
Mm-hmm.
so it's hard to figure that out. So, and then I said also, if I change the name of the podcast, then I have a I have a theme song.
It segments your audience too, for whatever audience you have. Now all of a
Right.
sudden they're like, well, I don't want to listen to the video game. It's kind of a funny podcast.
Yeah.
Whereas if they're just listening to it, they're like, oh, okay, this is one of the, I don't know.
Yeah, no, well, no, and that's what I wanted, some feedback, because then it was a thing of where I said I could have, so I was like, but I got the theme song that
Mhm.
Mike made for me, so if I change the name, I can't use the theme song. So then me and Chip
Well, you
were
could.
like,
You could be like,
It's a
Right.
funny
video game.
podcast.
yeah. But then we were talking about it could be kind of like the YouTube video is. It's Kind of Funny Podcast presents,
Mm.
and then it's you and I
Right.
have maybe a name for our show, or whatever, or a separate title. So I was like, yeah, but like today was fun. So if we did something like that. So anyway, that's my thought was in my head is like to find something that you and I that'll work out perfect.
Yeah, it would be
like-
hard to come up with something because I've never. There's no structure to anything
Right.
that we ever talk about.
Well, and like usually what sucks for me is that, like you said, coming up with the content for these people is hard to do.
mm-hmm.
So I'll sit there. So like Joe hasn't been on for a while, but I know that he's funny. So I got a lot of stuff saved up for
Right.
funny. So I got it's going to be like 2 or 3 shows. I got
Right,
a lot of
right.
shit. And then, so I'm sitting there going, okay. And then you
and
and
you can't use that on me because then it won't have the same impact. Even if Joe doesn't listen to it,
Right.
it's going to give you time to rethink your ideas on it and not play off of
Right. Well, it's like I have a thing about my house that I want to talk to Joe about because Joe's been to my grandma's house.
Mm-hmm.
You maybe went there once, but you don't.
guys are a couple times, but yeah.
But you don't know it as what you like
Right.
my original house and that house. So it's a whole thing that happened to me that I may go into because it's very cool. But I wanted to tell Joe about it, and then
Mhm.
also I got when him and I talked about inappropriate people at work. So I got another inappropriate thing.
Mhm.
Like I got another list of things. So so my thing on that is so recently then. So usually I'm like, what do you got? And Chip will be on, he'll come on and we'll be Skyping and I'll be like, okay, what do you want to talk about? He's like, I don't know. Did you see the new trailer for, blah, blah, blah? And I'm like, okay. So then we talk about that and
Mhm.
whatever. And you and I are kind of the same where it's like, what do you want to talk about? And sometimes either we just kind of flow through all kinds of different
Right.
topics, or sometimes like last show, it was, we're going to talk North Korea, and Enfield Poltergeist. And
And
we
it
were like,
just turned
okay.
into-
And it
turned
was
into-
shooting,
Yeah.
and then it was Patreon, and then it was North Korea, and then at the end it was like, oh, Enfield Ghost coming up next week.
Yeah.
So, but what's good is that you were like, let's talk North Korea, and then I was like, let's talk Enfield Poltergeist.
Ghost, yeah.
And then like this time we had a topic, so I could kind of do some research,
Right.
and you did, so it was
Yeah.
kind of like that. But like
I don't
when
think
I'll
we
ask-
really touched on we like the Enfield
We
Ghost
did.
thing. We told people to listen to
I
another
know,
podcast.
but we told
didn't really
but
didn't
we told
explain
them-
the story or anything.
No, but we told them a story. We explained it quickly because we didn't want to go over too much.
Yeah.
But the point to me that was interesting that I liked was if you believe it, you'll love it.
right.
If you don't believe it, then you're gonna be like, yeah, that's bullshit. You'll be like my wife.
Right.
I don't give a shit. But it was just interesting where I was like, yeah, maybe, and then I was like,
Right.
wait, sexy ghost? What the fuck? So it was just, but so my point is, so like with Joe, when I'm like, Joe, come up with, bring me some odd news stories, and then when we're sitting here and I'm like, what do you got? And Joe's like, nothing. So I'm like, okay, well, here's what I got, and I bring up all my notes, which is good. But then, like my wife said recently, she's like, I don't know why you don't just do the podcast by yourself.
Right.
Because then you wouldn't have to do all the hustling to get all these people. And she said, I don't know if you're nervous or what. And I said, no, I've done it before. I said, but what's fun is playing off
the other person.
I read an odd news story, and you're there to hear it, or Joe is,
or give my 2 cents
yeah,
on it, whatever,
and then be
we
like, what the
talk
fuck,
about it.
or
Right.
do voices or whatever.
Right.
We found Sean's new talent doing voices.
Yes.
Expect more voices next time. So work on all your
so
different
let me
voices. Oh, go ahead.
this before we have to add.
Right.
This lady
That
calls
was a
in.
hint. Yeah.
She says that she was on her iPad, and this thing pops up and says, "Your computer's been hacked.
Mhm.
Call this number." So she did,
Oh,
and they're like, "Oh yeah, this is a big thing going on. Your thing's been hacked. You need to sign up with this thing. You need to pay us to do this. So what I need you to do is you need to go to a Walmart and get a iTunes gift card." And she's all, "I live in Beverly Hills. There's no Walmarts around here." He's like, "Well, anywhere that has, that sells gift cards." She's like, "There's a Walgreens down the road a ways." He's like, "Okay, you need to go down there and get a $100 iTunes gift card. It's fine, because as soon as we get this set up, you'll get $200 back from it." And she's like, I like to think I'm an intelligent person. She's like, if anyone else was telling me the story, I would have told you you're fucking stupid, hang up on the person and, call somebody.
Yeah.
But she didn't. She thought that something was going on. So she goes down to Walgreens, buys a $100 iTunes gift card. The guy stayed on the phone with her while she drove.
Oh my
there.
God.
Reads him the thing, scratches the thing off, gives him all the numbers on it.
Oh.
And then he's like, oh my God, you have more devices attached to this." And she's like, "Yeah, I have an iPhone too." He's like, "Yeah, you need to go get another $100 card." And she's like, "How did he know?" I'm like, he was taking a shot at it, because most people, if you have an have an iPad, you're going to have an iPhone too, or you're going to have another
MacBook
one, a
Pro,
family member that's attached to it as well. So this one, she didn't stay on the phone with him. She was going to call him back or something. It sounded like. She goes down to Walgreens again. And thankfully, the person at Walgreens, the checkout person, was like, "Hey, I don't mean to pry, but what's going on? Are you doing this for something?"
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, "Yeah, I'm doing it for this." She's like, "Don't stop. You're being scammed.
Yeah.
Call iTunes. You're being scammed." She's like, "I stopped you because I've heard of other people doing this. They told us about it in the store, blah, blah, blah." She's like, "But you're being scammed."
Yeah.
So the lady calls us and she's like, "Can I dispute this?" And I'm like, "No." I'm like, "If you dispute it, you're disputing it with Walgreens."
Yeah.
I'm like, "It's not Walgreens' fault that you bought an iTunes gift card."
Yeah.
I'm like, "It's not their
it
fault
was-
that you got scammed."
Yeah.
I'm like, "If anything, call iTunes, explain to them, and see if they can stop the gift card." I'm like, "You still have the gift card, right, with all the numbers?" She's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Most likely it's gone."
Yeah.
But I'm like, you can at least report it. Whoever uses
Or they
it,
could
something
track
like
it.
that, they
Something
can track
good
it.
might
Maybe
come of it. Yeah.
something. But I'm like, no, we can't dispute it. Or I'm like, we could attempt to, but it's not fair to dispute it with Walgreens, because you purchased a gift card.
It wasn't somebody that
gave
wrote
somebody
your
the
number
number.
down and then
Right.
bought some more stuff. Yeah.
But I was just like, I'm like, and I think, I'm like, why would somebody do that? But like she said, she's like, if somebody would have told me the story, I would have said you're an idiot. But she's like, I use this iPad for the business.
Yeah.
We use this for this and this in the business. So I needed to have it. I needed to have it working quickly.
And you're almost worried about, fuck, I don't want my employers finding out that, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
Yeah,
If this is a small business account, so it was their business.
Yeah.
But,
I had a work computer that got a virus because I tried to look up the Kim Kardashian porn.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
And the whole computer, I was like, so I had to go to them and be like, my computer's got a virus or something. And they were like, all right. And we had to take it to a play. I think I had to pay, but it was, and then I was telling McAfee, I'm like, yeah, I was looking up Kim Kardashian porn. I'm like, I learned where not to go and what not to do. And he's like, yeah, exactly. But it's the same thing when your mom called and was like, I got this thing. Should I call this? And you're like, no, don't fucking do anything. I'll be over to fucking redo everything. So, yeah, it's just, and it's the older people. It's so this year for my birthday, usually my dad forgets my birthday.
Oh, yeah.
But
Father knows best section.
But now he's got Facebook. So he called me the other day. Hey, it's your birthday, right? Happy birthday. He said, I saw a thing on my phone. It said Facebook won. And I clicked on it, and it said it's Philip's birthday. He goes, a bunch of people just wrote about a minute ago. I said, no, they wrote this morning when, I said I spent all fucking morning, thank you. Because I don't want to be just like.
Right.
I try to be different. So thank you, man. Thanks, guys.
Right.
Whatever. But so then I was like, he goes, see, I remember. I go, well, yeah. Luckily for Facebook, because he goes, I know it's been, so I owe you now, 3 or 4 years of gifts?
10.
Do you still want that Muhammad Ali poster? And he kind of laughed, and because a long time ago, I was like, there's a
at least
picture
you remember that.
Right, there's a picture of Muhammad Ali standing over Sonny Liston when he knocked him out in the first round in a minute and a half or something. And so I'm like, yeah, that'd be cool, But now I'm like, well, I don't know, It doesn't go with my motif,
Of adulthood.
So yeah, exactly. So anyway, so he remembered that. The other thing was this movie pass, just real quick, and then I'll get back to Dad. I put the future of or demise of theaters.
Oh, movie pass. I saw a thing. I was telling Sandy about it. I'm like, this sounds perfect to me.
Yeah.
I don't think it would be the demise of theaters because they're still getting
exactly
their money.
They said it's like a scalper, but it's the opposite. Where a scalper pays $60 for a theater ticket, and for a concert, and then gives it to you for $200. That's illegal because they're hiking up the price for themselves. This is $10 for a movie. For a month, for as many movies as you want, one movie a day.
One per day.
And so you get the movie ticket, and then
and they send you a debit card.
And then they send you the card, and then you order it. Then you run the card when you get to the theater. You order your movie on your app, what you want to go see. You go see it, you scan the card, and then your tickets pop out. And so it's like they were saying, but this is where the theaters are still making their money. They said the one guy, it was on Screen Junkies. I don't know if you watch those guys they do the honest trailers and all that. They said they have a thing where review movies, and they reviewed this. And the guy said he investigated and found out the company that's running that paid money for this movie pass they're an info thing. So he said what he thinks that they're going to do that makes sense is they can figure out what your ticket, what your patterns are. Then they can put those all into a thing, and they could go and sell it to Warner Brothers and say, you're looking for the perfect demographic. We've got it. Here's what people age 43 who
that's what they say with so many of these things, that they're selling your information.
Yeah.
And it's, the one thing I was reading about it, they're like, oh, this theater doesn't want to participate, but as long as they have the outside kiosks, they can't not. Because this place sends you a debit card. That's how you pay for the movie.
And then, so.
And for them, it might work out because you may only go see one movie a month. Or you may go see, one movie every 4 months.
Yeah.
But you just paid $40 for that.
It's the thing of you're not going to constantly go because you're going to be like, oh, fuck, I went, that first month I went every day, and now you're going to go, eh. And
then you forget about it.
Yeah. But then the other thing is that at least, we bought it. So at least do it for a month. If they, for a year, if they end up going bankrupt, at least you got some free movies for a while, But my thing was whether if they start doing that and people aren't going to the theaters, people still want the movie going experience, but is everything going to go streaming? Is everything going
Right.
to, all that stuff. So it was weird. But back to my dad real quick.
See, now, like Sandy, I was telling Sandy about it. And Sandy's
Yeah.
like, if I was homeless, I'd ask for that because then I'd just go hang out in theaters all day long.
Yeah,
I'm like,
well,
go theater hopping.
That's
Grab the person's large bag of popcorn, go get it filled up. You're
Yeah.
eating popcorn, fill up the soda,
Well, it's like my dad, he goes to the $1.50 movies or $2 movies, and he said that's where he goes to sleep because $2 for a movie. It's nice air conditioned. He can sleep during the movie and then wake up. If he likes a movie, he'll watch it. If he doesn't, he'll go to sleep and have nice air conditioning. But something with him, his girlfriend was bleeding, like internally, was like shitting blood, and didn't know what was going on, and he didn't know if she was faking or what was going on. It was weird, and it was this whole big debacle. And she ends up going to the hospital, and because she had fallen and hurt herself and got all bruised up, and fall down some stairs, and her colon had came unattached from her intestines, and then so they had to so that could have leaked into your body and give you sepsis and all this. And then so she had that, so it was like they said it was like open heart surgery because something like that is very important. And so it's just, I go, did she get beaten? Like, did her other boyfriend or whoever this other guy is, did he beat her, push her down the stairs? Like, what's going on? And he goes, no, she just fell. I go, because it's a violent fall if you're,
Right.
And he's like, no. And, and then they told her she might have cancer. And so then he started crying to her or getting tears in his eyes. And she was like, no, don't cry. And then he goes, then she told me, well, they said I might have cancer. They don't know yet. And then later on, then she's still like waiting. Like then they said, well, you're gaining weight and everything is looking good. So it's like, I go, I think she was, he goes, I think it was, he said, a friend of mine said he thinks it was to test if I love her or not, how I would react when she tells me. I go, no, I said, I think she just wanted, part of that, but not to see if you love her, just to be like, I have
Give her
cancer
attention.
and get something. And so he's like, and then the other day he's like, he's waiting. So in the security business, we get guard cards that you have to renew every 2 years. So he's in the process of renewing it, so he can't work until he gets his new guard card. So he's like, so I'm off work now. So
why you wouldn't do that ahead of time?
Exactly. You got 3 months before to do it. But yeah, he waited till the last minute. And so then he's like, so now I'm out of work for, a little bit, so we could hang out. And he goes, you could come and meet my girlfriend. And I said, I think I'm okay. Yeah, I'll think about it. So yeah, I don't need to. Plus, whenever he's, I broke up with her. No, I'm back with her. No, I broke up. So it's like, Anyway, okay.
So what, I was just thinking
go
of
ahead.
something.
About my dad? About Movie Pass?
No,
Colon?
was the cancer.
God damn,
I
I'm
hate
sorry.
getting old.
Cancer, the colon.
The girl.
Yeah.
There's a funny video on YouTube where it was like catching a gold digger or something like that, and this guy was in.
Oh, in the Lambo?
It wasn't a Lambo. It was like one of those 2 wheels in the front, 1 wheel in the back thing or whatever. And he's there and he's just sitting on it. And this girl comes up and he's like, hey, you want to go for a ride? And she's like, oh, yeah. He's like, and then we can hang out. And there's a cheap Toyota parked behind it.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, okay, here. And she's like, oh, I have a boyfriend. And he's like, oh, I was just saying that just so I wanted to see how you'd act.
Yeah.
He's like, this is really my car here. And she's like, oh, okay, let's go.
Yeah.
And then he goes and gets this thing and like dumps out some dirt or whatever, and he's like, here you go, and hands her a shovel. She's like, what's this? He's like, you're a gold digger. And she's like, what do you mean? He's like, well, I told you this was my car and you were all interested, and then when you thought that it was a Toyota, you said you had a boyfriend, and then when this is my car again, then you wanted to go for a ride again. So you're a fucking gold digger. Fuck off or whatever. And she's like, fuck you. I was like, that was funny. Yeah, I'm sure it was a put on because she didn't show her face, and I don't know who would wear a thong walking down the street.
Well, and I saw one that was the guy pulls up in a regular car, like shitty car, and he's like, hey, you want to ride? And she's like, no, sorry, no, or whatever. And he drives off, and then later in the day or a couple hours later, he pulls up in a Lambo, and he's wearing sunglasses and better clothes, and he's like, you want to ride? And she's like, sure. And then he's like, "Nah, I can't, because you're a gold digger or whatever." And then he peels away, and she's just standing there like, "What the fuck?" Like realizes like he was the same guy, you know.
But see, to me, okay, if you're a girl and a guy comes up in a Lamborghini and asks you for something, he's probably a more decent person. You know, he's got his act together, that he's got a nice car and he's wearing nice clothes, as opposed to some regular looking Joe,
a rando who's like, "Hey,
in a Toyota, in a Supra." You know, I don't know who you are. I'm not going to accept a ride. Whereas this guy, I probably shouldn't accept a ride. You know, you could argue a little bit that, you know.
I get you. So you're saying that I could rape and kill women if I drive a nicer car?
You could have a much better chance of getting away with it, yes.
Wow. That's interesting. Let me mark that down.
Life.
For my
That's life.
That's life. And with that,
grabbing pussy.
That's right. Grabbing pussy and taking names. That's Sean Hansen. I wrote his thing down too. That shirt. I was going to introduce you as what that shirt said.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
I'm not always a dick.
Yeah, but when I am, fuck off.
It's like,
I forget the end of it.
Fuck?
Yeah, my dogs are going crazy.
Okay.
All right. Anyway, that's the end of our show. Thank you. Write us an email at itskindoffunnypodcast@gmail.com. Or my personal email that Sean gave out earlier.
Yeah.
So, either way. Or go to the Facebook page and write something on there at facebook.com.
Tell us about your ghost stories.
Yes, please. On here, on the YouTube video, or on the podcast. So thank you, and have a good day and night and weekend.
Ooh, spooky show.
Do me a Cartman looking over my grandma's chair again.
Oh, I don't know if that was Cartman.
Well, it was Adam Sandler,
Adam
Sandler.
Hey, Philip, can you get me some of that? Listen to the podcast, everybody. Leave a comment. Say if you like the creepy baby. Give me some cream corn. Bye.
Can you really deep throat balloons? Do pregnant strippers make us swoon? What